Garden Weirdos here. It's gonna be a play outside day, but it's a little rainy for that. Goodness. Ugh. So that means it's a play inside kind of day. So some of the peppers that we saved from last year are these Korean dark green peppers. When they ripen up, they turn red. And the thought was to turn some into the Korean chili powder called Gochugaru. I did a little bit more research. Turns out that usually they're sun-dried. These were air-dried, but so we'll see. We do have some that we purchased from a Korean grocery store, so we'll be able to tell the difference in the taste. But before I get started, I'm going to put on some gloves, and I've got a little pair of scissors. Got my work cut out for me. I'm going to be snipping off the stems, making an incision, taking out some of the peppers, not all, so that we can control that heat. So we'll be not filming all of it. We'll capture some clips as we go. Just a couple notes as I get started here. When we grew these last year, I don't think we anticipated how well they would grow. We had, I think, we ended up with 3 mature plants, and they were extremely productive. We also ended up making some pickled peppers, but they were very, very hot. I think this particular type of pepper, it's the smaller one. There's a Korean green pepper, which is larger, usually about this big. These definitely have a significant heat to them. When I read up on Scoville's or the heat scale, it made it sound like it was similar to jalapeno, but I like jalapenos and these were much hotter. So if you grow these and you want a little extra heat, these are the ones you're looking for. The way we air dried these is when they were fresh, we simply poked a hole through them with a needle and strung them up on dental floss. We then hung these in a coolish, dry, dark place, which in our case happened to be a downstairs closet. We live in a very humid, wet part of the United States, and so sun drying them was not really an option. You can also dehydrate them or dry them in the oven. I've just always found that air drying, if you've got the space, is not that much different. Yoink! Pretend it's been 2 hours. All right, so snipped off all of the ends and got out most of the seeds and chopped them up into, I'd say, about 1/2 inch pieces. And that's going to make, oh hi, you can see my reflection. That's going to make my next step a little easier. For comparison, this is the Gochugaru, it's coarsely ground, that we have been using from the Korean grocery store. So that is probably the consistency that I'm going to be going for with our peppers. Now, you can do this apparently with a mortar and a pestle. I've opted for a little bitty coffee grinder because A, I don't want to use the coffee grinder that we have for coffee, and B, this is something that I want to be able to reuse specifically for using with chili peppers. To add, for the soup that we're using here, when I went through and was cutting them all up into pieces, it's meat, the reflection. I got out all of the ones that were discolored or had any sort of visible funk on them. There were really only about 1 or 2, but there was a ton of seeds. So let's see here. I'll open this one up. This is a blade. Got a blade chopper. To get started with, I'm just going to put a little bit at a time. This is the first time I'm doing this, so it's an experiment for sure. And I'll tell you, as I was working on cutting up the peppers, I was questioning my life choices. Like, why did I decide to save these peppers, etc.? But it's something that I wanted to do, so, all right. Why did it stop? There we go. All right, I'm looking down on the top. That looks about the same consistency, but the color is a lot lighter. And I would have to imagine that's due to a couple different things. One is these peppers, we kept them in the freezer, so they could have been affected by some cold. They were also probably sun-dried, and ours were air-dried. So a couple different little differences, but I tell you what, I'm excited to try this out in our next batch of bibimbap. And not going to do a video about that, but I'm showing some pictures of that. This came out really nice. All right. And there's a couple of seeds in there, but not really. Boy, the smell is just really fun too. It's not like your typical hot pepper. It's got kind of a sweet, smoky, almost vinegary smell to it. And that really comes through. If you've had kimchi made with cabbage, it will use a very finely ground version of this. And you can also use it to make Gochugaru, which is a fermented paste made with chilies. I don't think I'm going to do that one, but I'm excited about using this. The last thing I wanted to add about this process, and I did go ahead and put some more in there and grind it up, but I'm going to save the rest of these and make fresh when I need it. I wore gloves and I tried to be really careful. I still ended up getting some on my nose, even though it's, not as hot as like a ghost pepper or something. It can irritate you. So if you have any sort of sensitivity to chilies whatsoever, wear maybe a particle mask. Be very careful. Anyway, that's Garden Weirdos, and thanks for watching.